Actor of the Year Oscar goes to... It's actually Singaporean.
I think before we start, we just want to thank everyone for being here. It's a great honor to find out that the show was actually sold out. So thank you for being here.
And I think thank you to the band for letting us into their lives for the past 2 years. I think it's been an honor and a privilege.
We didn't have a choice, man.
Thank you guys.
And I think on behalf of the band and our managers as well, we want to thank the directors for coming on board and doing this story. I think 2 years ago when we were selected to play South by Southwest, I mean we were very, very honored. And I mean it was a struggle as you saw in the film, but you know, having them come on board and wanting to share our story or tell our story was amazing. So thank you, Helmi, thank you, Razin. And we want to thank, I mean, some of you, if you were there at our fundraiser shows and if you had donated money to us or helped us in any way, thank you again, and thank you for being here and supporting the film.
Did you guys have any questions? If not, I'll just open up the time with a question. Okay, this one's for Helmi and Razin. It's a bit personal, but maybe for the both of you, what is one of your biggest struggles or sacrifices that you had to make when you're following the band throughout this whole filming process?
I think the main struggle was actually time. I mean, we both have a day job, and this project of ours was just a sideline thing for us. It was something we did at night, and it actually started all out of boredom actually. So, the main issue was time. A lot of nights were spent after work meeting up with the band. We spent a lot of nights in the office, looking through scene by scene, like dissecting everything, discussing everything, debating everything, and I guess we're happy that even though we took like 2 years to actually finish it, I guess I'm just happy lah.
Yeah, I think when we started out, it was at a lunch conversation, and we were really bored about the work that we were doing, and we just so happened to see an article about them, and I think it felt important for us to document. Is this working? Document the whole process of a band going somewhere and facing so much obstacles along the way.
I have a question. So at which point of the journey did you step in?
What do you mean, which point?
Because,
Hi, I'm just curious, did you want to do a documentary on them when you found out that they were going to South by Southwest, or was it sometime before? How did it all start? I mean, you read the article. Was it an article about them going there?
Yeah, we read an article on the Straits Times Live pages written by Adino, and it was about them struggling to find the funding to get there. So I think in our line of work, I think we do, we are factual kind of guy. We don't really do like drama, fiction stuff. So we really like documentaries, and we were just discussing like, what documentary would you do if you had $100,000, that kind of thing, before lunch. And it was just a random conversation, but in the end, hey, we had this article, and we have this band. Why don't we just document them? And it's also great that we knew them beforehand because we like their music. So we really felt that it was a good opportunity for us to seize at that moment.
I think actually we only got confirmed that we were actually shooting the documentary 3 days before the home club gate. We had emailed them 2 weeks before when we saw the article, and it was quite a long wait for them to get back to us. Yeah, we had actually emailed them, and they somehow like ignored us or something. So we wrote down this like super long proposal, like a very detailed proposal for them. And I guess like 3 days before the gate, then I think Amran emailed us back saying that okay, they are agreeable to it. So in that 3 days, we had to actually rush to prepare for the home club gig. You know, try to find people to help us shoot. Try to make sure we have equipment for the shoot. But I guess it all turned out alright.
Mr. Amran has something to say.
Yeah, and on top of it, on that note about help, finding people to help us, I think really have to thank people who have helped us along the way. Zen, John, Ling, Roger, and whoever else who have helped us in one way or another. Thank you so much.
I think when we took so long to respond, because I think let me just clarify this for everyone's sake. I think when we got the email, we get a lot of emails, and then for people to put our music on TV or some student film project or something, and when the email came, from a bunch of guys that we weren't familiar with, I mean, at the point of time, stating that they wanted to do a documentary, we thought they were crazy. I mean, here already was a band, that while we were embarking on this journey, we thought it was our fight or struggle alone. And when they wanted to come in, we thought, okay, this was a little bit strange. Why would anybody want to do a story on us? But as it turned out, when we met for coffee and when we found out how committed they were, because they spent more time with us than their girlfriends. So we have to thank their girlfriends as well for understanding the amount of time that they took to spend with us. And I mean, I just also want to say this: while what you saw was our story, it really is a story of bands in Singapore and musicians in Singapore. I mean, I'm sure there are musicians here as well in the room. Everyone struggles, especially if you're from the independent scene. Everyone struggles to a fair extent. We happen to be the face, we happen to be the subject matter, but I think this is something that in Singapore and across the world, independent cultures and independent musicians are facing. So we've been very, very thankful. I mean, we're very, very lucky, and we're thankful that a lot of people have supported us in our journey. We cannot say how much gratitude we feel. So we'll say it again. Thank you so much. And I hope that if you like the music being made by other Singaporeans, support them as well, because I think everyone deserves a chance.
Maybe to expand a bit more about what you mentioned about bands in the local independent music scene. Like, you guys have been in the industry for so long. So how do you think that the scene, the indie music scene in Singapore has evolved over these years?
You mean lack of industry?
I mean, you'd be surprised at the amount of talent actually in Singapore in terms of music. Individually, a lot of bands go out and do their own things. I mean, bands like The Observatory have played international festivals. They've recorded in Norway. We have a Singapore grindcore band called Wormrod that is signed to an international label and tours Europe and US, but they don't get much press. You have a lot of bands that are doing all these things, but I think one of the huge problems facing Singapore is the ecosystem. You have talented musicians, but you don't have the ecosystem to support it. Media doesn't care, or mainstream media doesn't care. You don't have opportunities to get a lot of music played on radio. You don't have the infrastructural support here in Singapore, and that's tough. And I think if you like music but you don't want to play in a band because you think it's too painful, or you don't play an instrument, do something else. Start a magazine, write a music blog, organize a show, support musicians and creative artists in ways that they need the support. If you can do that, that'll be fantastic.